This is the Misguided Meeples podcast.
I mean, I know what paddling is.
Well,
And so do you. I don't think you've been paddled before.
Well, you know, not as a child.
With your hosts, Eric.
How do you like bats, Maddie?
So at that point,
Cold-skinned cabana boys.
I don't know what the black lobster, what the black
Then there's something wrong with you. You're certainly not very good.
And Natty.
They are no longer patients. They are now victims to a crime of dentistry. Apparently was very acrobatically sound.
Yeah,
You're like, what are you in here for? I shanked a guy. What are you in here for? I ate a lot of ham. Hey everyone and welcome. I am Natty.
And I'm Eric.
And this is the Misguided Meeples podcast, having conversations about the wackiest and most bizarre news of the week. We are now carried on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and YouTube, and we would greatly appreciate a subscribe, a like, or a review if you like the podcast, but only nice ones, because we have thin skin.
Very thin skin. Very, very thin skin. I'm very offended by a lot of things.
It didn't sound creepy at all.
A little bit of show news to start off the show today. Soon, hopefully, we'll be on Spotify. Apparently, we need 5 episodes published before we can actually start using Spotify as a publishing source. So if you've been counting, this is episode 5.
Ew.
And I certainly haven't been counting. Not at all.
No.
Yeah, so our first little bit of news is not even really a news story. It's a recap or a follow-up of last week. We covered the story about a main restaurant serving lobsters after getting them high on marijuana. And now we have a little follow-up news story. Maine government officials are not down with getting lobsters baked before boiling them alive and have declared the practice illegal after the restaurant in question made headlines for her usual pre-cooking methods, her unusual pre-cooking methods. Interesting little follow-up here. Apparently the Maine government is not down with this.
What, is it lobsters specifically, or like, you know, like if you're butchering a chicken, can you get that high?
I don't think they're allowed. They don't want anything getting high before it dies and gets consumed.
It's very specific.
But in this case, they're only doing it with lobsters. So
Thus far,
exactly. We went into that last podcast. So we have a little quote from the owner, Charlotte Gill, who owns it. It sounds a little snarky, honestly, but well, I'll read it here. This is her response to the Maine government officials declaring the practice illegal. She says, THC breaks down completely at 392 degrees. Therefore, we will use both steam as well as a heat process that will expose the meat to 420 degree extended temperature in order to ensure there's no possibility of carryover effect. I'm not selling an edible.
It does come off a little cheeky.
I mean, any number you could have picked there. You could have picked 450, 430, 425.
Yeah, well, what was the maximum temperature? Oh, sorry, the minimum?
The minimum to completely break down THC is 392 degrees.
Yeah, so it could be 393 degrees and it'd be fine. But yeah.
But no, had to get it 420.
I don't think she's bitter at all.
I think it's a little bit of snarkiness from her on that one. Or she's just a really dedicated stoner and she's just like, I need it to be 420 degrees.
It's the only temperature I cook lobsters.
They're exposed to 420 degree extended temperature. Interesting. So yeah, that's all I got for the follow-up on our story. Obviously, quite funny that one of the news stories we covered is getting a little follow-up. Let's see. Hopefully, maybe we'll get another follow-up saying that it's okay the way she's doing it, or maybe it'll be banned. I don't know.
Whatever starts with a government probe generally doesn't end well.
Yes, generally.
But in other news, and hopefully this one will not have a follow-up, is a couple in Wichita Falls. So, a 68-year-old man, married a 24-year-old woman and then found out that she was his granddaughter.
Awkward.
Yeah. I mean, he's rich, if that helps, but...
I don't think it does.
It really doesn't.
No.
Yeah, so apparently it's something along the lines of that the wife was estranged from her family, and they only figured out that they were related through his photo albums from way back when.
Which is super awkward. I feel like if you get married to your granddaughter, you kind of go, oh crap, we shouldn't have done this. But they seem like they're just like completely taking it in stride. I don't know. It seems a little odd to me.
Well, my favorite part is the quote that is, it was like a sense of deja vu, but at the time I couldn't figure out why she seems so familiar.
She looks really familiar to me. I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, that's a thing.
She kind of looks like my long-lost daughter. That's really interesting.
That's just coincidence.
Very coincidence. I don't know. Sense of deja vu.
Well, yeah. Since figuring it out, though, they have no problem. Like, they're not getting divorced. They're just gonna keep being married.
Yeah, that's very odd. I love the quote here. Every couple is different and special in their own ways.
Yeah.
And that's coming from the daughter, or that's coming from the wife, or the granddaughter. It's so confusing.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird semantics in this one.
I can't keep my relations straight here.
Well, neither can they, clearly. I mean,
clearly not.
And I'm rather surprised. I don't know if it's illegal to marry a family member in Texas, but I am almost certain it's illegal to procreate with them.
Then what's the point? I mean,
well, he's 68. I'm not sure he's
there's a lot of guys that get married to younger women and decide to have kids. Didn't like Larry King or something have a kid at like 70? Something stupid like that. Alec Baldwin's still having kids now. He's fucking 60.
Really?
Yeah, he just had a kid like
a
couple years ago.
He's 60?
He's old, man. He's old.
Huh.
Yep.
Well, then never mind. This is a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah. Imagine that, like you get a kid at that age. You're gonna be 80 when they graduate high school.
No, you're gonna be dead when they graduate high school.
Well, that too, but like theoretically, if you're still alive at that point, you're gonna be old as fuck.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like mistaken as like a grandfather at their graduation.
And there's no irony in that at all.
Nope, not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I mean, in this situation, it might be a little interesting.
Actually, what does that make the child?
If they have a child,
yeah.
Hopefully they don't.
Grandfather and granddaughter have a child. Is that child like his son, but her uncle?
Yeah, that makes for a weird situation. So it's probably her uncle. It's her uncle. It's his son and great grandson.
Yeah, and her uncle and son.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It sounds a little backwoods, doesn't it?
I don't like this at all. This is getting a little too incestuous.
Just slightly. Shall we move it on?
Yes, sir. Well, the next one will not involve any incest, but it will involve a very creepy contest. Natty, what would you do for $300?
This is a family-friendly podcast. I'm not sure how much I could say.
We swear all the time. I mean, like, you can talk about puppy killing if you want.
Okay, that did happen once. I will concede to a slight conversation about puppy killing.
Yes. Well, if you want to earn $300, you can sleep in a coffin for 30 hours to earn $300.
Huh. You realize that's minimum wage, right?
Perhaps
It's $10 an hour.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, it's not. It's not. It's like minimum wage is like $8 still, right? Or they move it to 15 yet? I don't know.
I don't know. Our state's broke. It's not that.
I think it's still 8. Yeah, it's probably still 8. I have no idea. Or maybe
So
it's 7.
So you're actually getting paid better than you would here.
I know. There you go. 30 hours of work. All you got to do is sleep in a coffin for 30 hours.
But if you're in New York, you're going to get underpaid.
Yes, that's true. So this is coming from St. Louis, Missouri. An amusement park is upping the creep game by giving away $300 to people who can sleep inside a closed coffin for 30 hours. This is coming from Six Flags in St. Louis, and they're holding the contest as part of its annual Fright Fest. Talk about a claustrophobia, man. I mean, like, it sounds easy, but, like, you would get in there for, like, a couple hours and probably sleep, and then you would be awake for a lot of that time, I think. I don't know. This sounds like borderline torture.
Depends on the individual. I probably wouldn't sleep at all if I was sitting in a coffin all day.
No, probably not. But yeah, just imagine being like in an MRI machine. Have you been in an MRI machine?
I have been in an MRI machine.
Oh my God, those are the worst. Like you're in there for like an hour or two, and like I hate it. I hate all of it. This time you're going to be in it for 30 hours, essentially.
Do they at least let you bring your own music? Because when I went, they provided the music, and it was just Katy Perry for like 45 minutes.
Oh, that sounds like torture.
It was torture.
So, apparently, entrants can bring a friend to Fright Fest, but once the event ends, the friends hit the road for the sleeping dead must fend for themselves. So, apparently, if you're a part of the contest, you can bring a friend to the park, but once you can't be together in the coffin for 30 hours. Sorry. Everyone who is hoping to do that with their best friend.
That might not be family friendly for a Six Flags location.
No. Apparently, though, they do allow for regularly scheduled bathroom breaks. Thank God.
Well, unless you have...
You're not going to take a shit in the coffin.
Well, but if you have an irregular bowel cycle, you could end up having... You could soil yourself in a coffin.
Yeah, that's one thing. Hopefully someone with, like, IBS or diarrhea that day does not get into the contest, or at least has the sense to drop out. Well, $300 is not worth shitting yourself in a coffin for.
What I'm thinking, though... You go to amusement park, you get a little drunk, your friends talk you into sleeping in a coffin for 30 hours, and then you're sitting there with like 8 beers in your system waiting to piss yourself.
I haven't seen anything yet when I read this story, but I hope I hope you don't.
I mean,
I hope they're testing for that. I hope they're not allowing drunk people to get in the coffins.
We'll find out on the 13th. It's a coming.
Oh boy.
Oh my God, that will have a follow-up story. We'll
have another follow-up story.
Ooh, there's got to be a winner.
There's got to be a winner, and I hope there's a lot of people that shit themselves in coffins now.
Maybe that's why they let you keep the coffin.
Yeah, no one else wants to go.
Because it's a porta-john by the end of it.
Essentially. Although only 6 coffin dwellers will be chosen, and the one that lasts the longest will win the money. So
it's a rigorous selection process.
Yeah. Basically, they're only limiting this to 6 people. So apparently, if you want to sleep in a coffin for 30 hours for $300, a chance at $300, head on over to St. Louis, I guess.
Otherwise, you can go buy a coffin for $300 and sleep in it for as long as you want.
That's true. You don't have to sleep for 30 hours in a coffin you've already built.
Maybe they'll get used to it. Just come home with that coffin. That's what they sleep in now.
It's like a weird case of Stockholm syndrome or something.
Right. They've fallen in love with their prison.
They're like, oh, I can't sleep into anything else now. I need to sleep in a coffin only. So yeah, that is basically it from this creepy story in St. Louis.
So it's time to follow up with something completely unrelated.
Yes, completely unrelated. Although, third story of the week, is it food related?
It is food related.
Oh my God, we need to have like a little like spin the wheel. In like future episodes, I need to work on my sound design a little bit. I used the soundboard like once, like in episode 3,
It was
and
beautiful.
I haven't used it since. And it was like one drop. I have to get on my drop game in the future. But going along with contingency, the third story of the day is food related.
Yes, it is indeed. In this case, it is 18 million of cocaine found hidden inside of bananas donated to prison. So apparently, authorities in Houston, Texas, said that bananas were donated to a prison under the guise that they were past ripe, so they couldn't be sold. And, I mean, as the title said, there's $18 million worth of cocaine hidden inside the boxes. Kind of disappointed it wasn't inside the bananas themselves, but, you know.
I know, you gotta be really dedicated to the cause to like hide them inside the banana, like unpeel all those bananas.
It's like a scalpel and like surgically open the banana.
And then hide the cocaine inside every single one of the bananas and like reseal the bananas somehow. I feel like that's like a really, it would just take so much time to do that. It probably wouldn't even be worth it.
No, I definitely wouldn't. You just put it in prisoner visitor bums. It'd be a lot easier.
I wonder if this is like a shipment they get often though, because it sounds so innocuous. It kind of sounds like, oh, we're donating all these bananas to you because we can't sell them anywhere else. So,
Yeah, they're already ripe.
you know,
so,
you don't need to check inside the boxes, but here's a lot of bananas to feed your prisoners.
Yeah, eat them now. They're already ripe.
Yeah, then you know, I can't sell them at the store. Definitely don't look in the boxes. There's definitely not $18 million worth of cocaine in there.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the thought process there? Like, they're not going to trace it back from where it was sent?
I know, yeah, that's true too. I mean, like that's gotta be a really easy arrest for the police. They're just like, oh yeah, who sent us all these bananas for
Oh look,
free?
there's a return address on the damn thing.
So that's crazy though. That's a ton of cocaine. I have no idea what the what I'm not versed in the street value of cocaine, but I wonder how much.
Shame on you.
I wonder how much cocaine that is, like in ounces.
Well, I do know that there were 540 packets. So however much a packet is times 540.
Well, it was only 445 boxes.
I know, isn't that interesting?
So, I mean, still, that's a very high percentage. It's about 10% of the, a little under 10% of the boxes had cocaine in them.
It also means there are 12 packets per box.
Right.
Which, I don't know how big these boxes are, but it seems like a lot of cocaine to hide in a box.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of cocaine.
Well, here's the best part. At the end, it says that the department says the federal officials and the U.S. Customs and Border Protection are still investigating the matter, but currently have no suspects. How about the guy who sent the bananas?
Yeah, for real. I would have one suspect to start this investigation. I'm just armchair detective over here. But I think the first guy you question is the guy who gave you all the fucking bananas. We're seriously?
That does logically follow, doesn't it?
The guy was like, "Oh, hey, I got all these bananas over here. You wanna take all these bananas off my hand?"
Love the accent on that one.
I don't know. It is in Houston, Texas, so the New York gangster accent didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But you know, it should have been like, "Howdy, I got all these bananas over here, sitting in these packages. See, definitely not cocaine in any of these banana boxes.
No, of course not.
No, sirree."
So I did some rudimentary math here. $18 million worth of cocaine on the street is roughly 620 kilos.
Whoa, that is a lot.
That's a lot of powder sugar.
That is felonious amounts of cocaine.
Yes, it is.
I think any amount of wait.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know what's not a felonious amount of cocaine. That's an interesting question for you. If you guys know, let us know.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
If there's actually a felonious amount of cocaine.
No, there was if there was actually like a limit where like it was no longer felonious to have cocaine.
What is the threshold of feloniousness?
I have no idea, and I'm actually interested to find out. Maybe I'll do a little research after the show. But anyways, that's all the news stories we have for you today. Hopefully, more follow-ups from the coffin story or any of the other stories. I really don't want to follow up from the first story we did.
No, I'm good with that. Any follow-up is going to be...
That family tree was going to be really fucked up.
Oh my God, yeah. The branches going everywhere.
It just branches looping back in of itself. Oh, it's just a little weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you'd like to join the conversation, email us at misguidedmeeplepodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at misguidedmeeple on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining the conversation this week. We'll talk to you all next week.
Bye now.
The music in our intro is Retro Future Clean, and the outro music you hear now is called Breakdown. Both tracks were done by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Are you interested in contacting the show? Our email address is misguidedmeeplespodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at misguidedmeeple. Follow us for show news and links to all the crazy news stories we covered in this week's episode, and maybe some bonus ones we didn't cover. Who knows? Gotta follow us to find out.